What's up guys? Welcome back to Toon, Duelists. In this video I'm going to show you some basic combos of our updated cool Toon deck profile, and afterwards we're gonna draw some test hands to show you how this deck really performs. Now if you haven't watched the deck profile already, which you definitely should so you know what I'm working with right here, you might not know that I don't play for Drawless Harmonia. This actually has an impact on the deck build as well as some of the combos, so I just want to mention it right away. For Drawless is way too pricey in my opinion, and you can really play this deck and also win tournaments even without for Drawless. One thing I want to mention before we dive right into it, the combos don't take very long, and as I already explained in the deck profile video, most of your turn happens during your opponent's turn. Because all the interruptions, quick synchro summoning is of course only displayed very good in replays, so if you want to see this, definitely check out the Nexus replays. But if you want to know how the combos really work and understand what you're doing right here, this video is perfect for you. And before we dive right into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, this would really help us a lot. It's one small click for you, but means the world to us of course. And we provide you with weekly deck profiles, combo tutorials, test hands, Nexus replays, and of course, the best Yu-Gi-Oh! News on YouTube. If you want to further support us, don't forget to check out our Twitch and our Instagram channel with the links in the description. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. Alright guys, so for the basic combo I've decided to show you a one card combo with only one copy of Kewl. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna normal summon Kewl and activate her on summon effect. Now you're gonna actually special summon Rotary. Now let me explain real quick. You could of course also summon a Mix or a Rico and then add Rotary to hand and just use it from the hand as synchro material, but this one actually plays better under draw. So yeah, that is probably that's the reason I play it this way, just because you're not as vulnerable to draw that way. Next thing you want to do is use those two to go into your track maker right here. And this will, reflect so much, sorry. And this will activate three things. And the chain links are actually important. You have to make Q chain link 1, Rotary chain link 2, and track maker chain link 3. Why? Well, track maker is a search, but if you don't get this search, it's not that big of a deal. Rotary is hand knowledge, the most important effect, but you don't want to activate it as chain link 1 to chain block it as much as you can, because obviously you will first see your hand and then decide the top deck. So that's the reason it is so important to chain this way. Q, chain link 1, chain link 2, Rotary, and 3 track maker. So we resolve the chain. With track maker you can add a copy of JJ Cool Toon Synchro, sorry, and you look at your opponent's hand now and then add a copy of JJ Cool Toon, and now you decide over your opponent's top deck. So at this moment you know about every card your opponent will have when they start their turn, which is just amazing. And remember, you can also adapt your searches to your opponent's hand at this point. So if they have draw, you can search something else than Cool Toon Synchro, or if they have Nib, you can play around Nib. So you know by now what he has in store for you, what hand traps he has, so you can just perfectly play around it. What you're going to do now is activate JJ Cool Toon and activate its effect to tribute track maker to bring out a Cool Toon Mix. Cool Toon Mix's on summon effect will activate to add a Rico. With the additional normal summon, you're going to normal summon Rico, and Rico's effect will activate to search for Clip right here. And last thing you want to do is use your Clip and Rico, and Mix to go into Remix. You set your Cool Toon Synchro, and that's where you end your turn. Now, it doesn't look like much, but actually, you not only know what your opponent exactly has, but you have very different layers of interruptions right here. First of all, you have quick synchro summoning. With those two, you can, for example, go into a Zaleen and have an Omni on the field once something is chained. But also Remix can tribute itself, bring back Rico and Mix, for example, use those two to go into RS. RS would be an Omni on the field, this would be a spell shoot, and this would be a monster shoot once they're used for synchro material. But you can also, depending on your opponent's hand actually, use Rotary and Rico, for example, to use those two and go into another Trackmaker. Trackmaker Search is not that useful during your opponent's turn, but with Rotary you can also shuffle one card from your opponent's graveyard back into the deck. So if he has a strong grave effect, you can also use this as interruption. But most of the time, obviously, RS is the better choice. And with Clip in hand, you can at any time basically activate Cool Tune Synchro and add any piece of interaction you might need. For example, if you have only used Mix as a monster pop, you can add Rico, special summon Clip, then use those two to go into Crackle, for example, and this would mean a random card is out of your opponent's extra deck, and with Crackle you can choose another one you bring out of the extra deck. So 2 cards you can just rip out of your opponent's extra deck, 1 even of your choice. So as you can see, you have many ways to interact with your opponent during his turn, even if the board doesn't look like much at the beginning, and most importantly, you know what he has in store. You know where to throw your negates. You're basically unbaitable if you do everything right. Just amazing end boards in my opinion, but let's dive into some test hands and see what we can do with not only 1 card. Alright guys, test hand number 1, this is gonna be fun. Just for your information, if you watch the deck profile, you know this already. My 2 other copies of Xenogenesis didn't arrive, so I just turned cards around. It's the only thing in the main deck I have to prox. There are also Crackle and Shooting Riser Dragon have to be proxed in the extra deck, but Shooting Riser Dragon is only there for the C hand traps, so yeah, we won't use that, and Crackle is a turned around Trackmaker, but in addition, in editing, I will do my best to cover this up. And let's see what we can do with those 5 right here. Alright, that's actually a challenge, and one of the downsides of playing that much non-engine, we only have 1 Rotary by now, but we can definitely still work with this. First of all, you can activate JJ Cool Tune, no problem, why shouldn't you? Then you can actually activate, first of all, you throw Fuva, because yeah, you don't really need it. And now you can use the effect of Rotary. You have to normal summon something. You could also just bring out Rotary, but you want to look at your opponent's hand, so we don't want to tribute it with JJ Cool Tune, so we have to get rid of a Ghost Spell summoned by Rotary. And now we can actually activate JJ Cool Tune, tribute this, and special summon a copy of Mix. Mix on summon effect will let you add a Q to your hand, and now you can use your regular normal summon to bring out Q. Next thing you can do is use Q and your Rotary in hand to bring out Trackmaker. With the effect of we have different chains of course, chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. With Trackmaker you search a copy of Cool Tune Synchro. With Rotary, you look at your opponent's hand by now and search another Cool Tune Speller Trap, so the second copy of Cool Tune Synchro. And with Rotary, you manipulate the top deck, so we have full control over our opponent's hand by now. Next thing we want to do is actually... probably we could have also added a Rico now that I think about it. But we can also use Cool Tune Synchro. It doesn't really matter. No, you know what? With Cool Tune Trackmaker, it is probably the better idea to search a Rico straight up. Because we go through we search a lot, so we go through our Cool Tune Synchros pretty quickly. So just adding a Rico is probably the better idea. Then we use our regular normal summon, bring out Rico. Rico's on summon effect will let us add Clip right here. And next thing you can do now is use those 2 for 1 copy of your remix. You set your Cool Tune Synchro and pass your turn. Now, what do we have on the field by now? We still have Cool Tune Remix. Our options are widespread. We can go into an RS like I just explained and have a spell or a monster shoot. We can also go into a second Trackmaker and have a shuffle back into the deck from the graveyard. So those are our interruption possibilities with Remix. Most of the time, you will probably end on an RS. Another great thing we can do now is we can also use Cool Tune Synchro anytime, have a quick Synchro summon, and now we can choose what we really want. One possibility would, for example, add something like Rico or Q, any level 3 basically. Then don't synchro summon right away, but special summon Clip, then use those two as your quick synchro summon to go into Crackle to have the extra deck manipulation. Another possibility would, of course, be to just use Clip and your RS, if you used the Omni Negate, obviously, to go into a copy of Selene. You could also use Clip and Trackmaker to go into Loudness War. Loudness War would allow you to use the Monster Shoot, the Spell and Trap Shoot, or the Shuffle Back as quick effect once again. So again, you can adapt to basically everything your opponent has in store for us. You see how flexible this all is. You can really choose what is the best interaction with our opponent by now, and that's what makes this deck so strong. You can adapt to basically any board right here. Alright guys, test hand number 2. Let's see what we can do with those 5 right here. Alright, remember this is a Duelist Genesis right here in our hand. I have to prox this one. So what can we do? We have 2 Fuva that are basically useless, so we just have to discard them if K9 is a thing. So yeah, it could come up technically. Now what you have to do in this case is you have to normal summon your Rotary, so your Duelist Genesis is live. You activate Genesis right now and you add Synchro Overtake. You activate Synchro Overtake and you show your opponent an RS to be able to special summon from the deck a Rico. Rico's effect on summon will activate, so you can add a Q. Next thing you can do now is activate JJ Cool Tune. This gives you additional normal summon, which we use to bring out Q. And with Q's on summon effect, we can special summon from the deck a copy of Mix. Mix on summon effect will let us add Clip, and all 5 Cool Tunes are assembled as easy as that. Next thing we can do is use those 2, go into the basic Trackmaker. You know the deal by now. Chainlink 1 Q, 2 Rotary, 3 Trackmaker. With Trackmaker, you add a Cool Tune Synchro actually, and with your Q, Rotary, you look at your opponent's hand and you add another copy of Cool Tune Synchro. And with Q, you can manipulate the top deck, so we know about all cards our opponent has in store for us by now. Next thing is using those 2 for 1 copy of Remix. And now we have Clip in hand and 2 Cool Tune Synchro. And remember, we can activate both during our opponent's turn, which is just insane. So again, we have the same possibilities of interaction right here than in the last hand, but just with 1 Cool Tune Synchro more in hand. So again, with Remix, we have the option to shoot a spell, shoot a monster, shuffle something back from the graveyard, and basically bring out, most of the time you will bring out your RS. So we have a spell shoot, a monster shoot, not most of the time, not both at the same time, one of those actually, and we bring out our S, which is an Omni on the field. Next up, we can use our Cool Tune Synchro. And with the first Cool Tune Synchro, you could, for example, add a Rico or a Q. Q is pretty useless during your opponent's turn. Most of the time they'll search something, so the top deck won't be the same. Of course, you banish a card, that's not too bad actually. But if your spell Trap Shoot didn't get through, you can use Rico. If it did, just use Q. And with your Rico and Q, you can use with your Trackmaker and Rico or Q, you can use this and go into a Selene. So you have another negate right here. And then you can again activate a Cool Tune Synchro. Then add, for example, a Q this time. Then you have this quick effect of Clip, special summon Clip, use those 2 and go into Crackle right here. And Crackle gives you another banish straight from the opponent's extra deck. And with Clip, you have another banish from your opponent's extra deck. Now, it is also possible, if your opponent has a deck that relies a lot on their extra deck, you can actually also just flip this around a little bit. For example, you can keep your Trackmaker, don't go into Selene, keep Trackmaker, Rico is in hand, and just use the second Cool Tune Synchro to add Rico. So we go into Crackle with our first Cool Tune Synchro, and with the second we use Crackle and Rico to go into Selene. And this will now activate the effect of Crackle again. We bring it back, and we can banish 2 more cards out of the extra deck. So in total we rip 4 cards out of their opponent's extra deck during their own turn. So you can see, again, you can adapt to every deck your opponent basically plays. This deck is just amazing. Alright guys, third and final test hand. Test hand number 3. Let's see. Amazing boards we were able to build so far. Our rotary is stuck in our hand lately. Alright, but we can work with this because Cool Tune Synchro saves the day right here. We can use Cool Tune Synchro in your draw phase because with only rotary you won't go anywhere. You could technically normal summon it, but of course we want to use the additional normal summon if we can, and we use a Cool Tune Synchro to add a Q onto our hand. Now we normal summon Q in our main phase, activate the effect of Q, and bring out a copy of Mix. The on-summon effect of Mix will allow us to add Rico. Now we can use the effect of... Oh, no, we don't have to use the effect actually. We can first of all use those 2. We want to do this as soon as possible to go into Trackmaker. We have the typical chain link 1 rotary, chaining 1 Q, 2 rotary, 3 Trackmaker. Trackmaker will let us add, for example, now in this scenario, actually a JJ Cool Tune, because you don't really need another normal summon. You have an additional one with your rotary in hand anyways, and you only want to summon Rico, so that's basically all you need. And with rotary, you know your opponent's hand by now, and you can search a third and final copy of Cool Tune Synchro, and with Q, you manipulate the top deck, so we know about all 6 cards our opponent has. Now we can use the effect of rotary, and we show Rico and rotary, and we normal summon Rico. On summon effect of Rico will add clip, and now with those 2 we can use them to go into Remix, obviously, and now we use, or we can set 2 Cool Tune Synchro. We have clip in hand, a Veiler, a Ghost Spell, and another rotary. Now I won't explain what you can do during your opponent's turn again. This is basically the same end board than last turn, but we still have a rotary, so we could use another level 1 if you wanted to. But this is actually not that bad. If you use your Remix and went into RS, and let's say your RS is already done, you can actually, with one of your synchros, for example, use rotary and RS and go into a copy of Loudness War. And Loudness War would allow you to have another monster pop, spell trap pop, monster pop, or shuffle back. So again, another layer of disruption we have right here. Guys, this deck is just amazing. The combos don't take long, as you can see. It's not that complicated. The complicated part starts when you really play a duel or you play against someone. So if you want to see how that works, definitely check out the Nexus replays. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, definitely leave a like and a subscription. This would really help us a lot. It's one small click for you, but means the world to us, of course. And we provide you with weekly deck profiles, combo tutorials, test hand videos, Nexus replays, and of course, the best Yu-Gi-Oh! News on YouTube. If you want to further support us, don't forget to check out our Twitch and our Instagram channel with the links in the description. And most importantly, don't forget to let me know what you think about those combos and test hands. We always love to read and answer your comments and stay in touch with our community that way. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, have a good one.